So special election, uh, Mary Sadler, Patolta, whatever Casper Nelson, not sure who she is. Four different names. Maybe she should make a YouTube video like this and explain. I'll get this Wi-Fi thing popping up here. What the deal is with the four different names and the three different marriages, and how she has these commitment issues, relationship issues, and why that is something that should make us choose her to go down and represent the state of Alaska in Congress. I don't see the policy stuff with her. I see the little bit of stuff I've seen is related to, uh, I see her as a bad person for the environment, as a left wing candidate, which is problematic for everything. I think like a candidate, a Democrat candidate. That's why I just trying to figure out why the Democratic people support her anyway, because she has a bad policy vision for like Ambler Mine for Southeast Alaska that's contrary to the native tribes and the people in those areas, and what they want to do in terms of manifesting a vision for resource development. She wants to sell out everything, and develop something, let other people come and develop something like a host, extract everything they can, move to the next place. Sort of similar to what it seems like she has had as a pattern with her personal relationships. This is Mary Sattler, Peltola, and obviously there's like four different names. And she seems to be marrying guys who are very successful native Alaskan men who are very successful in the business world, in the private sector, and lawyers and all these other people too. So it's sort of some red flags. I think in terms of a political leader, that's someone who doesn't have a stable personal life, and there's been a pattern of moving from person to person. And if it was something where it was just a couple, you're younger in your 20s and you moved a couple relationships, but this is someone who seems to be marrying for power and for money and relationships that way, and then taking taking everything from someone and moving on. And that's sort of like how a lot of we're very parallel to how we're critical of like a mining company or like a big log company coming and taking everything from the area, moving on, developing our resources. It's very similar to how she seems to have her relationships in her personal life. So I wouldn't want her anywhere near my kitchen table, number one. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. That was a stupid thing to say, but you know what I mean. Uh, anywhere near any sort of a decision making thing on a big scale, because she's probably getting divorced and marry someone else in down in DC or something like that. I don't want to use too many bad words, but it just like, I mean, like ugh. And Palin's another one. Another woman who is just like, there's no stability with these women, who are running. That's why when I was saying like Sarah Rasmussen or something back in the day, a couple months ago, I was like, someone who's got some family values, someone who's got, and not just being connected to a big successful family like Rasmussen, but like someone who's got some family values and who isn't sleeping around. You know what I mean? And who isn't, jumping ship every time, in terms of relationships, because that stuff in a personal level really is, it also happens in the business and the politics. If you're inconsistent with relationships and you're moving from one thing to the other, it's I have no idea who she is. If she's doing something with the Yukon, uh, the Kuskokwim fishery or something like that, I mean, great. Who cares? That's not the same as U.S. Congress, and none of her policy stuff are all the big issues. She hasn't said anything on any of that stuff. A little bit on the resources. She's going to sit there like she gets a great F. I said this to someone else too. I would give her a below F. Gross. Now here's the thing, dude. It's interesting about this little campaign, and you know, with what's going on. I'm probably already too far into this time wise, but I'm surprised this thing hasn't cut out. But you know, here's the thing with this thing. If Gross and her were just like, if they were smart, their Democrats are not smart. It's one thing, they're just not smart people. Like the left is not bright people. Uh, if they were smart, they would only have one candidate here moving into this. It wouldn't be, forget about the rank choice, forget about everything. They would only have the one candidate, Gross and Patola. They would only choose one, and they would put them forward. Now, Gross isn't truly a Democrat, but you see what I'm trying to say here. And they would have a chance at being successful if they put all of their votes on the one, and then uh, the party was split over Begich and Palin. So that's sort of an interesting thing, but they're just not smart, And But Gross is obviously someone who's Democrat. But Gross is not a bad candidate. I mean, he's like, I was kind of being hard on him before, but he's like, he's better on the environment for a left wing candidate. He's 100% better than Mary or anyone else who threw their hat in the ring. Really, you know what I mean? He's not a career politician like her. She's a career politician running on race. So there's that. And but really, again, I think he's a guy I would like to see him maybe throw his hat in the ring for governor or for a state legislator or representative position. And same thing for Mary. I mean, I think she could represent the Kuskokwim River area out there in the state like she's done in the past and be maybe great at that, or maybe lieutenant governor or something like that and be great at that too. But going down to Congress, going down for those big issues and that kind of thing, they're just not an appropriate choice. And they don't have the policy. They don't have the policy, and they don't have the unification towards those diverse elements within the state. She might be a good spokesperson for Native women, right? 100%. Mary Sattler or whatever, because that's who she is. But there's a lot of other people. There's a lot of bigger issues beyond Native women. We're talking about like international stuff. We're talking about like national stuff. So I just saying someone who's a Native woman who's going to sit there and talk about fish, is not an appropriate choice. I would love to have someone with more business experience, more like someone with a military background, someone with some international development background, and that's why Begich, he's got a little bit of business experience. He's another person. He's from like a big political rich family, right? And there's pros and cons to everything, but he's not a bad choice. I don't think he would go down there and screw up. I think both of these women are going to potentially go down there if they did get chosen and just screw up and do something big. They'd be dating down there, number one, like a couple hookers, prostitutes on the street, and number two, they'd be going down there and just policy-wise make some sort of big colossal mistakes that are going to be not aligned with what we need as a vision of the future. Like, I mean, Palin might be good on like guns, which is good, but I think on development she makes some mistakes, and just that I don't think Palin would just, well, Palin is a sellout, but I don't think she would sell. But I think just personal life wise, they're just gonna do something stupid. Those two, and it's a product of a lot of different factors here, but. But Gross is a pretty stable character, but he's going to be a guy who's going to try to take our guns. He's not conservative enough. You know what I mean? So, he's just going to go along with this stuff. He's just going to be watching the news. So I would have been the right choice. I would have been the right choice to send to U.S. Congress, 100%. I have but again, am I vulnerable to an attack by these radical, media empires and stuff like that? And that's the thing, with Palin and with like Mary or whatever, they're just vulnerable. That's why Nick Begich is a sound choice, because he's not vulnerable to like, but he's got all these Florida ties and stuff. That's why I don't like him for that. Forget about like all the vulnerability stuff. I mean, I've had mud thrown on me. You know what I mean? I've been trying to take down all over the time. I know how to fight. And that's a big thing. Like, I mean, some of these people, like, I mean, Mary Paddler can blow some wind and knock her out of a race, and Sarah Palin is just running on Donald Trump's endorsement, and she's going to go down there, and she's so old, she's going to tip over just like Don Young did, so, and then Begich is just, he's in Florida, he's doing international stuff with the business and stuff like that, and he's got to get talking points, and, and I think he'd be okay, he would be okay. That would be, if someone said, hey, you need to vote for someone right now, just for this special election, it would be probably Begich or Palin I would choose, and I think that's reflected with what everyone who did vote in the special election primary already chose those two. But I just worry, the left and the Democrats, they're just not smart. If they were smart, they would be Gross and Pelota, only choose one of those and have everyone vote for that one and try to get them down there. But they're just not smart. And Mary and Al both have egos, and, so it's one of those things where I think it's just none of those four are the best choice, but clearly Nick had some preparation and it had some vision and some effort and some energy towards it while Don was still alive. So that's something like sort of like me, and like I was making the videos and seriously considering the run, even to do it to lose. Like I said, like, oh, there's the mountain to climb, there's the river to go down. So I think that's something you need to know. These people are just jumping in. They're like crows on a carcass. Something's dead. They didn't want to fight for it, and they didn't want to go hunt it. You know what I'm saying in terms of the political campaign and the analogy towards that effort and that energy. So these guys are coming in late, like Al, like Sarah, and like Mary, like they're just scavengers. They're not hunters. They're not fighters. And I think that that's something myself, someone like Nick as well. He was willing to rise to that challenge and go against Dawn. Dawn had been so entrenched. So, I don't want Nick to be there for 4 years, though. So it's one of those things. You know, I don't want Nick to be there for 40 years, like Don was.